everybody, and welcome back to Franchise Vibes, where we discuss franchises and everything in between. And this time, it is a fun one. So the vibes we're on today is back to school vibes. So this is for you guys out there, your moms. I know you guys are getting back, the kids. We're going to be cooking up success with Young Chefs Academy. And today we have with us Leigh Feldman. Please, Leigh, tell us a little more about yourself and about Young Chefs Academy.
Oh, I absolutely will. First, I want to say thank you so much for having me. And I absolutely recommend that any of your listeners that are just joining from any promotion I did for this episode, that they follow along because you drop a ton of gems, not just in your podcast episodes online, but in your Instagram. And so I certainly recommend people follow you there as well. But yes, I am Leigh
Thank
Feldman.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for all that you're doing with this and for giving us the opportunity. I am Leigh Feldman, as you said correctly the first time, with youth franchise brands. And we are part of a group that has bought two brands in the kids cooking space, in the kids enrichment space. And those are Flower Power Studios and Young Chefs Academy. And I know we're here today to talk mostly about Young Chefs Academy, but we love the opportunity that YCA provides for really introducing confidence in the kitchen. And what I mean by that is, yes, we are teaching kids cooking skills. We have a membership model where you can come and there is curriculum that is taught each week during the month. And so you are a member and you are coming and you are learning how to cook. But what we're ultimately teaching is really self-esteem. We're teaching the ability to know that you are in a situation and you will know how to navigate it. And there's a lot of things that we sort of teach without trying to point out that we are teaching, because with cooking comes a ton of science, a ton of math, a ton of actual physical skills of how to properly hold a knife, how to properly measure, but then all of the things that come with the fun of learning how to cook, the muffin method, the dry versus wet, the reductions. And that is why we are so excited about YCA and all that we do with really teaching confidence in the kitchen, but ultimately self-esteem for themselves and knowing that they know how to take care of themselves.
Nice. This sounds amazing. So, what inspired the creation of Young Chefs Academy, and how has your mission evolved over time?
Yeah, I love that question. Young Chefs Academy has been around for 21 years, which is pretty impressive when you talk about curriculum-based after-school education programs, and then obviously all the extra things we do with camps, birthday parties, workshops, adult cooking, leadership development, corporate training, and all of those things that come with having a cooking school. Young Chefs Academy really came for having a third space for kids to have an opportunity to explore their passion for being in the kitchen and ultimately prepare them to not just, again, navigate a residential kitchen, but be prepared to work in a prep kitchen or a commercial kitchen space or in fine dining. And so Young Chefs Academy has evolved over those 21 years to really prepare people kind of as a vocational program, but also as a prep for them to go off into other stages of their life and know that they're good. And so one of the things I love most is parents writing in and saying, I was concerned about my son. They're getting ready to go to college, but I know that they will be okay and know how to take care of themselves and potentially impress a future partner because of all that they learned at Young Chefs Academy. And like other
Nice.
programs that you see kids who maybe have siblings that they do, like a karate or a taekwondo or jujitsu, Young Chefs Academy is set up in the same, where you first start off as a white jacket chef and you earn your patches and your stripes, and you eventually become a black jacket chef and then a chef and trainer, executive chef. So you can come back and help teach and work with kids in the classroom and teach them the joy of cooking. And we say it's serious fun for that reason. Because again, we're focusing on a lot of the skills and being able to know how to julienne or chiffonade or baton cut, but also knowing how to prepare food for themselves in a healthy way so that, again, they can take care of themselves if mom or dad are not home.
Wow, I love that. There's so many things I heard there. Especially, I, work with a lot of different businesses, and you would see some in the education space, of course, in the food space, and people that do want to work with children and things of that nature. So with so many after school and enrichment programs, like you mentioned, that are available, what makes you stand out as a unique franchise opportunity? Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, as a franchise opportunity, I can certainly talk about the business aspect, but as the core offering, I think it's so much about the tactile experience, the social and emotional and bonding connections that kids make with their peers. We have locations that are very specific about sort of doing personality assessment, if you will, to try and make sure that the other children that children are placed with are kids that they're going to become friends with long term. There's nothing I love more than somebody having a birthday party at a Young Chefs Academy that is a member of Young Chefs Academy, and their
Mm.
whole invite group is mostly made up of the kids that they attend Young Chefs Academy with because they say, these are my best friends. That's how we know we're doing something right, if we're really creating those positive connections between our chefs. As far as a
That's
business experience, this is something that sort of marriages the intersection of kids and cooking. And if you
mhm,
enjoy either of those things, we're definitely interested in having a conversation because we can teach you classroom management and how to deal with kids or the parents of kids. And we can teach you how to cook. You don't need a background as a chef. And we, as a franchise system, through our 21 years, have figured out how to best present the things for children and the food aspect when it comes to cooking to make sure that people are walking away with those skills and really digesting and being able to regurgitate and show what they've learned to their parents, their friends, their coworkers, depending upon, again, if they're coming in for a kids program, a family program, or a leadership training corporate retreat. We make sure that they walk away with the best understanding from each of our classes of what we really wanted them to focus on and learn as a takeaway.
nice, nice. So, who would you say is your ideal candidate?
Yeah, ideal candidate when it comes to a franchisee is most likely a couple, where one partner is still working at their other job and one is focused on the business. And I mean that specifically on the business. They don't have to be in the business necessarily as the front and center educator, but they certainly can be. And that obviously creates a great experience for them if they want to be
Mm,
involved in food and involved with teaching children how to cook. They don't necessarily have to be in it. They just need to understand the type of personality they have. That person
mm,
is sort of the conductor of the space of the orchestra, if you will. They don't need to know how to play every instrument, but they need to know in the space that they're in when to bring a little up from here, when to bring a little up from here, when to put a little down here, and really understand from the curriculum that we have and how to teach cooking of how to be the person that is in control of the space. And that usually
mm,
is a personality piece. So that partner part of having one partner that has another job who maybe works behind the scenes on the admin or handles the boring stuff like payroll. And no offense to anyone that gets excited about payroll. I don't want to say that's just the boring stuff, but the front and center role of dealing with the
mhm,
community, dealing with parents, getting to interact with kids, getting to talk about our membership tiers, that's where we want the personality of someone that's super excited to be working on the business of their Young
mhm,
Chefs Academy. And again, they might say, I am not the person for this. I'd still like to be behind the scenes. So we just want to make sure when we work with them for hiring and staffing purposes that they know that they're going to want a personality that does enjoy being front and center and engaging with the community. Because like any
mm,
franchise business, it's going to come down to reputation and relationship. Are you
right.
providing a remarkable experience and do you have connections in your community?
So, how would your franchisees connect with their communities, especially when you think about like the schools, parents, and local organizations?
Yeah, we say it's sort of like you're running for mayor. Where do you want to campaign? Who do you want to endorse you? And what outlets do you want to be in? If you can figure out how to fight and gain attention in your market, and that might be through social media, or it might be through traditional signage, it might be through influencers and affiliates, or it might be
Hmm.
through community partnerships with religious groups or the PTA. We talk about how to specifically break down your community. We have
Hmm.
support on how to provide the steps for that and we make sure that those connections are made. And then there's a lot of work on our side as the franchisor where we want to
Hmm.
provide support and actually sending traffic to their brick and mortar location for client acquisition purposes, where we believe we provide a ton of value because for us, if we can get people to your door and you can provide the experience that we train you to provide, they're going to keep coming back. We see that in our retention because
Hmm.
of what we are providing as a skill set.
I love that because this is something that when I do my consultations and I get you to understand that the support piece is what's going to set you apart as well. So to get a good understanding of how that looks, what type of ongoing support. So is there anything that you can expand on as far as the training and the ongoing support? What would that look like for your
Oh,
franchisees?
absolutely. It is consistent. We have on-site training where you can either come and join us or on-site training where we will come to you. We have weekly calls. We have a sales and marketing support person that really can teach you on how to present the membership model. They also teach about objection overcoming, how to have that conversation, the soft
Mm-hmm.
presentation of what we offer as far as our different services. We have a business operations person that assists you with your monthly operating review. We'll go over your P&L. We have a COO that will really talk to you about the operations from top level of your hours, your business, what services you're offering, where maybe there's opportunity. Because again, while we play in the space of kids, family, and corporate events, you might see one performing better in your market, depending upon where you are, than another. Maybe you're in a more
Right.
rural space and you don't have a lot of corporate offices, or maybe you're closer to a city center and you do have the opportunity. And so, a big part of that when it comes to the support are a few things that you'd hear me say all the time. Number one being, how do we act as your aspirin? I truly believe it is the role of a franchisor to eliminate the headaches of a franchisee. Nobody is trying to get into a franchise system to suddenly become a graphic designer and a social media marketer. They want to focus on the core offering of the business. And for us,
Mm-hmm.
again, that is teaching cooking. So if I can do my job correctly of generating traffic to your location, and you can do your job correctly of teaching cooking, people are going to want to continue to return and they're going to tell their friends about what an amazing experience they had. The other is, does it make sense in your marketplace? As I just touched on with the rural versus city center or urban
Mm-hmm.
adjacent, you need to figure out what makes sense in your market. Because while it is a franchise system and the idea is it is built to spec and will work anywhere, we know that's not true. You have to take into seasonality as a factor. You have to take in population density as a factor. What other programs or competitors are a factor? And so we want to make sure we work with you as really an individual in our system to figure out what makes sense in your market. And then the last piece is really the timeline and the pipeline. While we do have national programs around certain things that we know impact all families, like summer break and back to school, which thankfully my kids are not home today, we know that there's a difference based on the timeline and their pipeline. And what makes sense for one of our locations that's been operating for 19 years is going to be different for a location that's been operating for 9 months or a location that's getting ready to open. And so we really believe that on our support, we want to act as your aspirin. We want to figure out what makes sense in your market. And then we want to talk about your timeline and the pipeline and really treat you as an individual as part of our group and obviously have you connect with our community. And I think that's one of the things that really separates our organization from others is that if you talk about certain industries where maybe they're the alpha types that are very competitive as
Mm-hmm.
franchisees with one another, there's not a lot of collaboration. There's not a lot of sharing, even of the wins. People kind of hold their cards close to them and they don't want to have conversations. And what I love about youth enrichment as a whole category is everyone's here to see other people do better. Everyone wants to share the successes or the things they've tried that maybe you might say are a failure, but like we teach with our kids, not necessarily a failure, it's a new learning. And you can either change and optimize or edit or figure out another way to do this, or you can try again differently because maybe you're doing the right thing, you're just not doing it long enough. Just like recipes, maybe you're cooking it at the right temperature, it just might need 10 more minutes to bake. And that's the part of our organization is there's a ton of collaboration and a ton of communication and really sharing best practices, learnings, and experiences that I think make our vertical of youth enrichment so much fun.
Wow, I love that. So can you share some examples of how you guys have positively impacted kids and families in local communities?
Oh my goodness, the list is endless. Again, I think anyone that leaves going, I'm happy that I know that my child will know how to feed themselves and take care of themselves and meal prep as they go off to college or as they leave home, I think is certainly the biggest one. But we've had
Mm.
3 kids go on to win MasterChef Junior. So we're
I was
obviously
waiting for
very
that. I was
pleased.
like, fun fact, guys. I was
Yes.
waiting for that. One of my favorite shows. I was so excited to hear that. So, guys, listen up. This is such a cool factor to me. I love it. Please say
Yeah,
it.
we've had 3 students go on to win MasterChef Junior, and there are certainly different skill levels that you see on display. We want to expose children to the joy of cooking. We want them to think creatively about cooking and realize that it should not be intimidating. Again, we want kids to leave a young chefs knowing how to navigate their kitchen at home. But there are certainly, like any activity, the ones that are the savants. They are the prodigies. They excel. And we've had 3 students from our program go on to win the TV show MasterChef Junior, of which we, of course, are so proud. But
Yeah.
by no means does that mean you need to come in and be as serious about food preparation and cooking as these children. But yes, it is amazing, obviously, to expose kids to cooking and see the degree at which they gravitate towards this as an activity. And that's one of the things that makes this so fun. We have a number of kids whose siblings are maybe the athlete, and their brother is the star of the baseball team, and the sister is the swimmer or volleyball player. And the mom comes, and I'm guilty of this myself, and they say, "This is my creative one." And I
Mm,
understand it, and I understand what they're trying to say, but we want them to understand that cooking is just as important, if not more important, than the athletics. And we want them to be proud of what their children are doing. And that is why part of our classroom management and curriculum is set up specifically to be able to show, with our language that we use and we teach to, show the parents what they have learned at each of the classes so that they can have those moments where they are just as proud as seeing their son on the football field or their daughter on the volleyball court. And that's the part that we really love about this program is that these children find their thing. They find a sense of belonging. And it's not just
mhm.
for themselves, it's connecting with their community of other kids where cooking is their thing.
It sounds like a lot of, a different set of skills, the life skills, as you touched on before, teamwork, networking, things of that nature. Um, Tell us more, or is there anything you can say about the role that you guys play in teaching kids about teamwork, leadership, or even entrepreneurship?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we certainly have programs and workshops about meal prep, planning out recipes in advance, figuring out a budget, shopping for those items, figuring out what the cost is, and bringing it down to a per meal basis. And there's
Mm,
a number of things that come with teaching that, of course, you don't want to say, "Hey, kids, what are we going to learn today?" Because kids might say, "Ah, I don't want to learn today. I just want to have fun. I want to cook. I want to play with my food." And so
mm,
there's those things that we do in the moments to teach certain fun facts, like what's the largest zucchini? I can tell you it's 8 feet tall, taller than Victor Wembanyama, which of course was a big hit with kids in the class, but also the actual STEAM based principles of the science, the math, and then again, the tactile demonstration, the physical skills, the cognitive development, and like you said, the networking, the team building, and even the entrepreneurship piece of children. And so we have some other programs that we have rolled out in certain regions that are larger competitions that are similar to the sort of Master Chef Junior model. But it's all again to expose to kids
mm.
the joy of cooking and being in the kitchen.
Nice, amazing. So, where do you see the franchise heading over the next 3 to 5 years?
Hopefully, growth. We want to find operators that are interested of being around children, being around families, being around adults that are all interested in cooking and being in the kitchen. And if we can find people that are interested in Young Chefs Academy, we'd love to have the conversation and talk about what it looks like to have a Young Chefs Academy in their market. And so 3 to 5 years from now, it is certainly growth for our franchise footprint and certainly growth related to the number of sales and volume of sales, total dollar amounts for earnings and margins that our owners currently in the system have. And that's almost our bigger investment is we have a number of locations, 34 soon to be open in 5 days that we want to make sure are supported. And we are here to invest in supporting those locations through a variety of ways. Again, if I can get people to their door and they can provide a remarkable experience, we've done our job. And then the expansion of new locations and our footprint across the United States.
Yes. You know what, Lee, this was great. Thank you so much for stopping by. I This is why I love doing this because I love learning about all the different brands that I do have access to, but also to bring this type of information because there's a lot of people that may not have heard of Young Chef Academy, and they're thinking like, this is something that's perfect. This I would love to do this. This is my passion, things of that nature. So I like to try to bring these different types of businesses to light. So as we start wrapping, for someone who's listening, who is passionate about education, food, and community, why should they consider Young Chef Academy as their next business move?
Well, I think as a business model, we teach a lot of great things about how to operate and run a successful business. Someone much wiser than me once said on their Instagram channel you should automate what you need to do with your brain and delegate what you need to maybe do with your body if you don't need to be there. And I think there's those business learnings that we can sort of bring to our franchisees. Related to that, we kind of talk about it in our business of the three columns, the I do it, we do it, you do it. And I think there's a
Mm,
lot of moving of tasks to the we and you that we can bring to our franchisees. And again, if I can focus on bringing people to their door and they can focus on providing a remarkable experience, we've both done our jobs correctly.
awesome. Lee, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to bring this fun concept to light. And if there's anyone out there that is watching that is interested and wants to learn more, please feel free to reach out to us. You have precisionfranchise.com, and we'll go ahead and get you connected. Thank you again for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Take care, everyone.